Today I'm going to show you my exact 30-second lead generation lead magnet cold email system that automatically creates a fully personalized newsletter for each individual lead that you send emails to in your cold email campaign. So getting straight into it, I'm going to test out this workflow. What's going to happen is it's going to take a leads extracted from Apify, and it's already instantly scraped their website. Now what we're doing is we're formatting the personal information nicely and creating the newsletter in these two OpenAI steps. Then later on what we're going to do is do some further organization before nicely formatting all of this newsletter information into a Google Doc with headers, with bullet points, you name it, it's going to be in there. And then we're going to add the lead to instantly and also update the Google Doc permissions so that anyone with the link can access the Google Doc, because the last thing you want is to submit a link or add a link into your cold email campaign and for the lead not even to be able to access the Google Doc itself with the newsletter. So we ensure to update the access there. So now it's creating the newsletter. Shouldn't be too much longer. There we go. It's already off. It's adding the lead now into Instantly AI, which we will see here in a second. Currently we have one. Now we should have two when we refresh this page. You can see here another example lead, my email. I've got the company name, we've got all this information, the doc URL. If we click in here, copy this document URL, we're going to see a nicely formatted Google Doc, full with headers, bullet points, number points. We have got bolded text. This changes with each newsletter. Each newsletter is uniquely formatted. Bold text, sometimes these might be headers. We've got normal bullet points, final thoughts, and we've even got a little note at the top with their personal name. Newsletter for Ahmed here, which is pretty cool. If we head into sequences here, this is what the email looks like itself. Really enjoy your work. I was checking out company names site earlier and figured I'll put together a full newsletter for you, roughly 600 words. I'm a big believer in leading with value, Add the Google Doc link there. If you want to know more, just let me know. I've got a few other pieces you might find interesting. So this is exactly what I'm going to be showing you guys today, and let's get straight into it. Okay, so first things first, we'll want to create a new n8n instance, and we'll need to connect to Apify, which is the example scraper that we're going to be using to scrape the leads. So if we head over to apify.com and then if you haven't created an account already, you have to sign up. I've already created an account, so I'm just going to click go to console. Then wait a second. After you're in the homepage, go to Apify store, and we're going to search for Apollo, and then this is the one we're looking for. Apollo scrape up to 50k leads. Unfortunately, this has been it's not as good as it used to be, because if you're on a free plan now, you can only scrape 100 leads per scrape. So I'm just going to use this example URL that's already in here to demonstrate to you guys what I'm talking about here. So in this warm section, we can see that free plan users can fetch a maximum of 100 leads per search. This used to be unlimited. Now you can only scrape 100 every time you run it, which is a bit of a shame, but I guess it is what it is. And I'm going to abort this for now because I don't actually need them. Because what we're going to do is connect this scraper to n8n. So what we're going to do is actually first, I'm going to head back to n8n and I'm going to add a new step, add an HTTP request, and then this is going to be a post request. And then if we head back to Apify, and then head up to Apify, API in the top right corner, go to API endpoints, and the API endpoint we're looking for is run actor synchronously and get dataset items. So if you copy this over down here, we copy this over, and we paste this in the URL of this HTTP request. And then what else do we need? We need a body, I believe. So if we go down here, and then we go from manual to JSON, I believe we just have to copy this JSON, and then go down here, check send body, and then I'm going to select using JSON, and then you just paste that JSON in here. Here's the URL, the Apollo search URL. So the way you get that is by going to apollo.io. You need to log in with Google. And then once you're in Apollo, you'll go to people in the left side bar, and then you'll basically create a search, the email status, verified. What job titles are you looking for? And once you've created this entire search, then you'll just copy and paste the URL here, and then you would paste it in this section. I'll show you later on in the video how you can do this dynamically. You could submit a form instead, and then this would automatically be populated. But now what we're going to do is I'm going to use that example URL again and test the connection, so Command Enter. We can also confirm that it's working by heading back to Apify, going to runs, and then we can see it's running here, so we know something's working. Now we just need to wait to see if we can get the results, and if we get the results back in n8n. So this shouldn't take too long. I'll head back in here, see, oh, not here. I'm gonna go to running. Here we can see the logs. It's run successfully. Let's head back here. And there we go. We can see 100 items has been passed through here. If we go into the output, I'm gonna go schema. We can see we got first name, we've got all this data. A whole bunch of data. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a loop node so we process each lead individually. Batch size is going to remain 1. And then we're going to go ahead and create the newsletter itself. So I'm going to go add a ChatGPT node or OpenAI messenger model, and make sure this is connected to the loop path, not this path, not the done path, but the loop path. And then in here, I have some prompts for this. I'm going to choose model. I guess I'll do 4.1. I believe that's the latest one. It's changing all the time. Back in here, I have some prompts that I'm going to use. Well, you guys will have access to this as well, these prompts. And yes, this reminds me, as I'm pasting these in, and I'm seeing the prompts themselves, that we are scraping their website as well. So not only are we going to scrape them using Apollo, we're going to take their website and scrape their website to create their newsletter. Extract personal information. So before this, I'll get back to this node in a second. Before this, I'm actually going to add an HTTP request. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to pin this data so I don't have to run the scraper over and over again. So I'm going to pin this on the top right. And then I'm going to run this to the loop node, connect it back up. And then if I drag this across, what I'm looking for here is their website. So let's see, it won't be an employment history. Website URL here. And if you drag it in here, what's cool with this, and you can do this with almost any website, is by just performing a GET request. If I go back in here, a method GET request, and then I only provide their website URL and nothing else, then you can then retrieve all of the data for this person's website. So if I run this, what I get here is a bunch of HTML to this person's website. So if we copy and paste this website, this is the one that we just scraped. Using a get HTTP request, it scrapes this entire website and all of the HTML. Let's see if we can see, to confirm, something called make, what was the header? We make innovation work. Come on, no, we'll go search here. Make innovation, let's see if this loads. There's a lot, as you can see in this right part here, there's a lot of HTML, so maybe it won't work. But now what we're going to do is we're going to convert this HTML to text, because as you saw before, there is a lot of HTML there, so feeding that all into AI will exceed the credits or the tokens per minute you can use within the API. So how we're going to do this is adding a code node. Of course, we are no coders. I don't know how to code, so I've asked ChatGPT to whip a little bit of code up for me. So I'm going to copy and paste this. You guys will have access to this as well. So now, command is to save, and now we're going to make sure and test that it takes away all of the HTML and converts the HTML to text. So if we go to schema, we can see we have text here and data. Let's see if I can go here. Here we go. So in the table view, I'm just switching between views up here at the top to see which one looks the best. So now if we see here, the data still is very long. If we look in this left sidebar here, it's teeny. Oh, what have I done here? But if we scroll down the text, oh, this is a big website. This is a big old website. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. So the text stopped here. We got rid of almost half. So there we go. We got rid of a lot, but there's still a lot there. This is a big website. But now we've got rid of that, we've trimmed the data down as much as we can. We have this somewhat text. Now what we can do is we'll feed this into this ChatGPT node that we added earlier, this OpenAI node. And then if we look down here, what we want is the website we're scraping. So if I delete this, it's valid, but you would drag and drop this text parameter in from the code node. If I drag this over into the middle again, and then personal information I'm also feeding in. So if I delete all of this, and then what I do here is I go and extract the information from the Apify HTTP scraper that we connected to at the start of this video. So what I'm going to put in here is first name, last name. What else will I do? I'll do title. What else do I want? Perhaps the headline could be useful. I just want to provide AI with as much relevant information as possible. Some of these, to be even more clear to the AI, you could even just add headers in here. Definitely wouldn't hurt. You could put like city here. You know what? I'm gonna open this in a larger view. It'll be easier. City, state, and then country. Gonna close this menu, open up this HTTP request again. And then I'm gonna drag and drop in country. And then organization, the name, company name. Drag and drop that in here. What else might we want? Phone numbers there if you want the phone number. Languages. Founded year could be interesting. Founded year. We'll put that in here. Primary domain. industry. That could be interesting. Industry. Actually, I'm not going to put the industry in because we already have the website that'll give ChatGPT a good idea of what they do. Industries, the address is there as well. We get quite a lot of information here. Anything else? Okay, I think that's enough. I think that's enough for now. We'll see what happens here. Uh, let's see. What else might we need? In this prompt, I'll show you guys what I've written. Your task is to take a bunch of unstructured information about a person's website and their LinkedIn profiles and then convert this into the following JSON object. You'll receive all the data you need in an unstructured string. Your task is to pass that and turn that into the above object, which is this JSON. And then we've got some rules here. Cool, and you might have heard I mentioned LinkedIn. We do have the LinkedIn headline from the Apify scraper. So we got their LinkedIn headline. I actually put that in the request itself. So we do have some of their LinkedIn information, which is why in the prompt I mentioned LinkedIn. Okay, so I'm going to run this. Let's see the output it gets. We're taking all this information and compiling it together with this ChatGPT node, and then we just are looking for an organized output. Going to take a second or two. This website was a big old website, so let's see the output here. We've got the content. Website context there. So that was one of the parts of the JSON string. Where's another part? Okay, we'll leave it for now. Because I was thinking there should have been different headers, like different bold headers for website context and whatever the other two were. Website context, personal context, and unique angles. There should have been different bolded sections for those, but there didn't seem to be. So I think it'll be okay for now. I'm just gonna move on and add another OpenAI node, message a model, and this is where we're gonna take that information and create the newsletter itself. So I'm also gonna take that prompt from in here. I'm gonna copy this, paste it in here. So user prompts, this is also a user prompt. Copy this, paste it in here. Yes, it was. Okay. So I'm gonna run this one more time. I'm gonna also make this fixed because it doesn't need to be an expression. And then I'm gonna see if it works this time. I'm gonna remove this connection because it wasn't outputted in the JSON that we provided it. Okay, I just realized what I had wrong. We need to output content as JSON in the node. Now it will work. We need to check the output as JSON checkbox down the bottom, and now this will all be working as expected because we provided it with that JSON string. It's going to output this message from ChatGPT in JSON. So here now we can see it's in bold, like I was saying before, the website context. What else do we have here? The person context and the unique angles because I checked output content as JSON. So just make sure you have that ticked. Okay, cool. Now we can feed this into this OpenAI node. It's already valid, but I will drag and drop these in for you guys again just to show you exactly what I'm doing here. So if I delete these, we have the exact JSON as we had in the prior ChatGPT node, and this time we're drag and dropping in the website context in between these two quotes here. Then go down to the person context, drag and drop between the two quotes, and then finally the unique angles, drag and drop between the two quotes. And now I'm going to unselect simplify output, and then I'm going to output content as JSON, and let's see what happens here. Also in this prompt here, basically what I've provided it with is again specifying how you're getting information in this JSON format. And now I've got an example of an entire newsletter here, a full example, and then I'm telling it to return the entire JSON newsletter in Markdown format using this format, which is title, subheading, newsletter body, in a string. So let's run this. It's extracting the personal information. I could have pinned this data actually. There's no point in me doing this over and over again. So I'll do that after this finishes. So I'm going to go on here now. I'm going to pin this data so I can basically reuse this data over and over and over again without using any more ChatGPT credits, OpenAI credits. Okay, let's look at this output here. We have a title, we have a subheading, and we have a newsletter body. Now all we need to do is put this whole newsletter into a Google Doc. And I'm also going to pin this data. And I'm going to rename this create newsletter. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to reuse a Google Doc over and over again for the start. So I'm going to go docs.new example newsletter. And then what I'm going to do is we actually need to prepare this newsletter information to be put into the Google Doc, because if we put this information directly into a Google Doc, for example, if we go to Docs, we go updated document, doc ID. I'm going to take this document I just created, and in the URL here we can find the ID. Copy that, paste it into here. And then if we just put this text in here, if we go put in the title, we go insert body, subheading. If we do it this way, it's not going to be formatted nicely in a nice format that you would want in a newsletter. So if I run this and then head over to this this Google Doc, we can see this isn't formatted nicely. So the way we can format this nicely is I've created some code, or I've gone ChatGPT to create some code because, again, I'm no coder. So if we go into a code node, but before I do that, I'm going to add a set, and I'm going to set all the information I want to put in. So things like the title, and then I'm going to add a subheading, drag and drop this in just from the ChatGPT node that generated the newsletter, and then newsletter body, drag and drop that in here. And then there's one other thing I want, and that's their name. So if I collapse this, go back to the HTTP request, and I'm going to drag and drop just the first name in here. Cool. And I'm going to rename this to set information. Cool. Now we'll add a code node, and I'm also going to copy and paste this over from here. I'm going to go onto here. Now I'm not going to get too much into what this is doing. I looked on the n8n community a bit. They had some workarounds and code they use to format text nicely into a Google Doc, because it's not so straightforward as other tools like make.com that do it for you. We actually have to format it nicely in kind of like a JSON string. So I looked around on the n8n community and then provided ChatGPT with information, because everything I found on the n8n community, the code didn't quite work. So then I provided ChatGPT with what they were saying, and then it created, and we went back and forth, and it created this text and this code. So the only things I really know what's happening is these dynamic variables: JSON title, subheading, and newsletter body, which is the information from the ChatGPT nodes from before. And then also down here, I've added a first line where there's like a dynamic variable here somewhere, and then at the start of the newsletter, which I'll show you in a second, we say, "Hi, first name, whipped up this quick newsletter for you. Let me know what you think." So if I run this, make sure nothing's in here. Yeah. And then actually, if we go into here, now we have this long string of JSON. This long JSON string that we are now going to use to insert the text into the Google Doc. So if we go and add another node and go HTTP, we're going to go post, and the URL we are going to use is going to be an overview, I believe. Here we go. So the way you find this is I'll provide this documentation from Google as well in the description. So what is this one? This one is the batch update. So if you search in your search bar, Google Docs API batch update, I have here, and then you click on, it should be the first one here, and then you'll be sent to a page called overview, and the post HTTP request, we can copy and paste this URL into this HTTP URL, and then we just need to replace the document ID with the document ID that we want to put the newsletter in. So for now, I'm going to hard code this doc. And then I'm going to paste in that ID. Then authentication, I'm going to do predefined credential type, and then I'm going to search in Google Docs. And then my Google Docs connection will be right there. If you haven't created a Google Docs connection, it's super easy. You just create one, and then I believe you just have to sign in with Google. Oh, you have to have a client ID, client secret. I thought that was updated. Anyway, there's many videos around how you can get your client ID and client secret through Google Cloud Console. And then the last thing we want to do is send a body. And then I'm going to do using JSON. I'm going to have to ask ChatGPT to format this properly, but I believe it's this, and then requests, colon, and then I believe you put this in here, close it, and then before we send this off, because you can see down here, these are all objects. This isn't showing the actual data, so the way we show the actual data is go JSON.stringify, and then we add a bracket here, and we add a bracket at the end, so it looks like that. I'm also going to ask ChatGPT can you format this into proper JSON? And we might need some quotes somewhere. Not sure though. Oh yeah, it added some quotes there. So I'm going to copy this one over. I want to say, I prefer this message. Thank you. Let me head back here. Paste this in here. And now, once I run this, I'm also going to rename this insert newsletter info formatted. Rename that. And now, when I run this, we should see a formatted newsletter appear. Oh, and there it is. Already happened. So here's the first line. Just like a personalized thing, a little informal kind of thing that in the cold email we will send the user to this Google Doc, and then they'll see another little message here, which is pretty cool. We've got their name there. And now we can see it's correctly formatted with headings, heading 1, heading 2. Nice, we got bullet points, we got numbers, we've even got normal bullet points. And there we go, that's pretty cool. We've got headings, possibly these could be headings as well. Could have made these headings. But that's something you'll just have to play around with. In the code, I believe, you would have to play around with this. And now the last thing we want to do is, I'm actually going to delete this again because a new newsletter is going to be put in, and I'm going to see how it formats that. But what I'm going to do now is add a lead to Instantly AI using an HTTP request. This is going to be post. And then the URL we're going to use, all we need to do is search and create a lead instantly AI API. Create a lead introduction, instantly AI. This looks to be what we're looking for. Cool, so create a lead. And then here, looks like we've got a request URL, so we're going to copy that, make this post, put it in this URL. The reason I do post is because here it says it's a post request. And then authorization, this is a header, as we can see here, H for header. So we're going to go send headers, name authorization. And this is going to be bearer, your access token, i.e. your API token. So I'm going to bearer, I'm going to head over to instantly. Then we're going to, I'm not going to use this account actually. I'll use this new account. And then I'm going to, not this one, gonna add a new campaign. I'll name it lead magnet campaign. So continue. Then I'm going to, I actually didn't need to create a campaign. Well, I did, but what I'm looking for at the moment is going to settings, integrations here, and then going API keys, create an API key. I'm gonna name this test. All scopes, create. I'm gonna copy this over. I'm gonna bearer API key. And then send body using JSON. It said body type. It specified a body type. Content type, application JSON. We've already specified that here using JSON, body content type JSON. And then we just need to provide it with the JSON. So what we want to do, we can see here all the fields we can add. So we need a campaign ID. So if we copy this, campaign the way you get a campaign ID is if you head over to instantly, and then I'm going to go to campaigns, go onto this campaign that I just created, and then up here in the URL we can see the campaign ID, just like with Google Docs. We can copy that and then paste that here. What else do we need? Email. So email, and then we'll drag and drop the email from this HTTP request. Email here. Drag and drop that in there. I'm actually gonna open this up as well so it's a bit bigger for us to see. What else do we need? Personalization. I'm gonna leave that for now. I'm gonna add website. Website. Employment history, website URL. Then what else? First name. I'll add the first name and last name. So first name. Now I'll just copy this, change this to last. Old name. Now drag and drop the last name in here. Okay, company name. Let's add in the company name. Where can we find this? Organization name. What else? Phone number, interested status. Let's see. Custom variables. Custom variables including metadata. I believe for the Google Doc ID, we have to add a custom variable. And then what I'm going to do is head up to the top here. If we scroll down, we've got a document ID here. So if we then create, kind of manually create a Google Doc, so if we copy and paste the full Google document URL, and then because we only have the Google Doc ID, we replace this ID with a dynamic ID, and then we paste it up here. We can see on the right side, we have now got this document ID. If we paste into our browser, it takes us to the doc itself. Okay, and then we close that. And then I'll have to ask ChatGPT again to format this. Can you format this into proper JSON? Let's see what it does here. Let's copy this, paste it in here, and fingers crossed this all works. So let's run this. We should see a lead appear in our campaign and instantly, but there was an error there. Let's see, bad requests. We've got an error with our custom variables. Okay, so it's an error with the custom variables. So that's the section where we put in the document ID. So let me head back here and see what it says about this. Well, property network. Custom variables can include any metadata. Okay. Let me scroll down here. See if there's anything else. Because I don't think we would use website. for that. Custom variables. Let's see if there's anything else. List uploaded by user. Okay, yeah, it must be this. We just have to format it a little bit differently. Custom. Here we go. Custom variables. Custom variables dot property name. I'm gonna test this example it provided. Well, you know what? Can you turn this into an object? Now, this is kind of cheating, but I don't want to take too long for you guys. Okay, there we go. We can see it's kind of got the same format with document URL. Now let's see if this works now. Looks like it's working. So it's taking a bit longer. And there we go. If we head back here, we refresh this page. We can see we have a lead here now, which is pretty cool. We have the email provider, contact, company name, website, and their document URL. There's that document that we provided, which would link to this one in this case. So if we click on that, we go on here, click on this, and they'll get access to this Google Doc. But now what I want to do is, because obviously I don't want to use the same Google Doc every time, add lead to instantly AI. I'm actually going to create a doc here. So if I go to docs, I'm going to go create a document. I'm going to title it with the title provided by ChatGPT. So I'm going to do title here. Or I'm actually going to do newsletter. Newsletter 4. And I'm going to use their name. So if I head back down, take their first name, newsletter 4, and then I'm going to do none. Create Google Doc. Now some of these dynamic variables may have to change. Or this one in particular. So I'm going to do, never mind, let's not try that. Let's see if I can go back, Command Z. Let's not try that. I was trying to whip up some of my coding skills, but I'm I'm not a coder, am I? I just showed myself here. So here, let's drag in this code, request again. Code 1, we'll still do the JSON.stringify, and then close these all in brackets. Okay, and then in this URL, now that we're creating a Google Doc, we can replace this ID here. So if I open this, we can replace this ID in the URL to here with, if I go X now, with this dynamic ID, and I'm going to place it. Actually, first I'm going to go expression. I'm going to place it just after this /, this document's / JSON ID. Now, let's run this. And it should be added to a new document and not this one. The resource what have I done now? I don't think it's anything with this. I might have done something to. Yeah, I did something to this. It should be. This should be removed. That was part of the ID. So let's run this now. There we go. Want to see a lead being added to here very soon. I'm also not sure why personalization or phone numbers there because I didn't request it. I mean, not that it's too much of an issue because we're not going to be using it in the actual cold email. See, it's still running. Takes a little while. Okay, there we go. It took a little while. But now if we refresh this page, we should see another lead. Which we don't. It's unusual. You know, it might have not, it wouldn't have added the lead because we already have the same email. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a test. I'll add my email. It wouldn't have added the email into the instantly campaign because we already had the same email in because I pinned all of the data from the scraper and everything. It's using the same data over and over and over again, and instantly automatically filters out emails if they're the same. So that's why it didn't get added there. This time it added. Let's see if it worked. It happened very quickly. There we go. So that happened much quicker than before. Most likely because it was filtering out this email. But all the other information's the same. Then let's look at this document ID. Should say newsletter for Ahmed. There we go. Got this full newsletter, which is pretty cool. Now what we can do is I'm actually going to go to the bottom here. I have an example script. And if you go on sequences, now we can add these dynamic variables that we've just created, which is pretty cool. Now we've created a full newsletter. So if we go here, we go brackets, we go hi first name. We use the document ID, document URL. Really enjoy your work. I was checking out company name, site earlier, and figured I'd put together a full newsletter for you, roughly 600 words. Let's see if this indeed is 600 words in a second. With a bit of a twist, I'm a big believer in leading with value, so thought I'll kick things off that way. You can check it out here if you're curious, and then we provide the doc URL. If you're into it and want more, just let me know. I've got a few other pieces I think you'll find interesting. Cheers. And then if we go preview here, we can see the doc URL is here. Let's see if this is 600 words roughly. I'm gonna go back to leads. Okay, now let's check. Then we can check the word count. Go in tools, word count, 700 words. So roughly 600 words. And then what you'll do here to add all the leads is you'll just loop this right back around and connect it into the loop over items node. And in that way, it will loop over each of the 100 leads and create newsletters for them, which is pretty cool. Is there anything else? I'm thinking because when you use this, right? When you use this, it's got general access restricted, so they won't have access to this Google Doc. So I'm thinking possibly, let's see if there's an API endpoint that allows us to have this and send it to anyone with the link. So let's go Google Docs API. Uh, um, anyone with link has access, maybe. Let's see. Access link, drive folders. Let's see what this says. A resource key, a drive file, update permissions, API, Google Docs. Let's see what this says. V3 file ID, permission ID. Let's go on to overview here so we can get a quick overview. A permission for a file. A permission grants a user, group, domain, all the world access to a folder, a file or folder hierarchy. So we want the world to access this. By default, permission requests a subset field, permission kind ID to retrieve specific fields. Some resource such as permission update require permission ID. Use the permission list method to retrieve a file ID. So we need the permission list. So here, permission.list API Google Docs. Okay, cool. So I figured out how to do it. Figured out how to make it so a document, a Google Doc, can have the share permission to anyone with link. So I'm going to show you this document here is going to be changed to anyone with link when I run this. But first off, before I run it, I'm going to show you what I used. So what I did was I took this URL here and then it made sure the method was post. I had a predefined credential type. So let me just go through this with you guys. Predefined credential type, Google Drive OS2 API, and then you have to add this. I'm actually going to add this with you guys. So you'll go create new credential, and you need a client ID and client secret. So what you do is go to Google Cloud Console. Go here. You have to create an account if you haven't already. I have, so I'm going to go to console. Then you'll need to create a new project. n8n test. I'm going to go create. It'll take a second or two to create. Go select project. Then you want to navigate to APIs and services. And then we need to enable APIs and services. And for this, we're going to enable the Drive API, Google Drive API, and then click enable. Just wait for it to enable. And now what we're going to do is go down to OAuth consent screen. Go get started. Specify your app name. I'm just going to name it test, support email. I'll use that. Next. Internal, external. I'm going to use internal. External basically means that people outside of your organization can have access to your Google Cloud Console project. So like for me, it would be people outside the savvyflow.com domain. Contact information, com. I agree, continue, create. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple in this page. There we go. And then let's see if there's anything else we need. We can see the information we've already put in. Authorized domains, I'm going to do n8n.io. Under authorized domains, anything else I would want? Clients, data access, scopes will be specified. In make.com, you would have to specify the scopes, but in n8n we don't, because authorized domains, n8n, because when we create a client ID or create an OAuth client, here we specify, and I'll show you in a second, auth client, or a redirect URI, and in here we go back to n8n, and here is an OAuth redirect URL, so we can just click that to copy it, paste it directly in here, and then click save. This is how we're going to get the client ID right here and client secret. So if we copy this, we can see here client ID, client secret here, paste that in, sign in with Google. This is the exact same process if you have to get the client ID and secret for every Google Doc resource, such as Google Docs, Google Sheets, and so on. I'm not going to save that for now. So once you've created that connection, then what I've done is I've sent a body using this JSON. So role, reader, type, anyone. You could change this to editor as well if you wanted to. And then when you send this and I run this, the permissions in this Google Doc in particular, because this is the Google Doc that I've pinned all the data to in n8n, is going to change from restricted access to anyone with link. So if we run this now, and then we head back in here, it's changed to anyone with link. And they are viewer, but you could change them to commenter, editor, whatever. So the reason I did this is because obviously we wouldn't want to send through a Google Doc link to a lead that they don't have access to. So this just ensures that the link in the cold email, they do have access to that Google Doc. So the last thing we'll need to do is connect this and link it back into the loop over items node so it can continue to run through every time you want to scrape more leads. Also, you can imagine how at the start here, you could add instead like a type form trigger. For example, where you would fill out a question in the type form where you have to specify the Apollo URL that you want and then dynamically place in the Apollo URL into this HTTP request that is for scraping leads using Apify. And then you'll just dynamically put the answer from your type form question and put it into here. Also specifying the total records, i.e. the total amount of leads you want. And yeah, here's the entire flow end to end. It's pretty cool what we can do here. Again, going back into instantly, getting a full newsletter created, a fully formatted newsletter created with personalization and all. Sending them through a lead magnet. So this is end to end. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to be testing this out myself, as I think it could yield some pretty cool and pretty good results. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun building it out, troubleshooting things I'd personally never done before. So we navigated through some documentation together. And yeah, looking forward to the next one.